Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. So I kind of woke up on the wrong side of bed. I woke up as a bit of a hater today, a bit of a book hater, which is so not true. Like, I love books, but I thought it would be quite fun to share the list of books that I will never read. Never. You could put a gun against my head and be like, read these, and I'll be like, no thank you. Not really, but kind of. Let me just say though that I am a salesman's dream, because if you really do put the sale on and you convince me well enough, I'll probably do it. So if there's any books that I'm gonna say in this video and you're like, Sarah, you need to read this, you're just being stupid, let me know in the comments and I might do it, we'll see. But based off what I've heard about these books and what I know about them, I just know they're not for me. Okay, so without further ado, let's begin. I've got my list in my notes. So starting off, we've got Dune by Frank Herbert. This specifically is a book that I know I will not read. I don't care what you say to me, I don't care how well you convince me, I am not picking that book up. I just know. Like, there's just, even the movies, I haven't even seen the movies and I just don't think they're for me. Do you think I should watch at least the movies maybe? But I just know the book. I flicked through the book while I was in a bookstore being like, oh, maybe, you just never know. And I just know. I know it's not for me. I'm so sorry if you do love it. It's not for me. Right. Second book. Well, actually, this is a series. And this is one that I could potentially be convinced into reading, but I just really don't think so. It is the Knock 'Em Out series by Lucy Score. So I think there's Things We Never Got Over, Things We Hide from the Light, and something things. I'll put them up here so you know which ones I'm talking about. Now, the reason that I just know I'm not gonna read these is A, I'm not a huge contemporary romance girly, and B, these books are like 500, 600 pages long. In what world does a romance need to be that long? I think those long books should only be reserved for fantasy, sci-fi, something where there's like a lot of world building and lots of characters and development, where you need to have just layers and layers. If it's a romance, what story do you have to tell that needs to be 600 pages for a romance? It better be the best romance of my entire life. Because why does it need to be that long? And I think because of that, I think if these books were like 350 pages, like a standard, contemporary romance length, I'd maybe give them a go, because they are so popular. And so many of like the booktubers and the people that I really love and trust on booktube love this series. And it makes me kind of be like, oh, maybe I'll pick it up. And then I see it at the bookshop and it's like a thick ass book, just a romance, a thick ass romance. And I'm like, I don't know. If you've read this series and you think that I will love it, please let me know in the comments and I might give it a go. I might. I think that they're standalones, so at least they're interconnected standalones in a series, so then maybe I can just try the first one and see, but I just don't think so. Okay, next up is the Twisted Love series? What is it called? I'll put them up here so you know what I'm talking about, by Anna Huang. I know this series is not for me. I just know I'm not gonna enjoy it. It's so popular and it's all over BookTok and BookTube, but from things that I've seen online, I think it's like a billionaire romance, like it's different brothers and they're all billionaires. And I think it has like that kind of cliche, like touch her and I'll kill you trope, and I think the guy actually kills people. I don't know what it is. I just think it's gonna give me the ick and I just don't think I'm gonna enjoy it. If you think I will, again, leave me a comment. I do love to be convinced. I really do. So let me know if you think I would enjoy it. But I just don't think the series is for me. Moving on, we've got Zodiac Academy. Now these are on Kindle Unlimited. So recently I got Kindle Unlimited and I was like, browsing, seeing what's on Kindle Unlimited, adding books to my Kindle because they're free. Well, not really, but kind of free. And so I added the first Zodiac Academy book. Tell me why I could have written that book when I was in high school. I thought the writing was really, really bad and like really cringe. And even if the story is amazing, even if it has a really good plot, when the writing is written very poorly, in my opinion, I can't do it. I really can't. And I'm really sad about it because I think it's like an 8-book series. People love that series. And they say it's very good in like the way that like reality TV is good. It's like trash TV, but like trash book. So I get it'd be like maybe like a fun sort of book to read when you just kind of want to rot your brain. But even then, I just did not like the writing, and I just don't think I'm gonna ever start the series. Well, I mean, I tried to. Flopped. No. Next up is a very popular book on BookTok and BookTube, and it's currently popular. I might get some hate for this, but I have to speak my truth. I have to speak my truth. The other book that I refuse to read, unless you really convince me, is Bride by Ellie Hazelwood. I know that this is like a vampire werewolf romance, and it's her first sort of like fantasy romance. And from what I've seen online, I just don't think it's for me. I really don't. It's a book that I would potentially read like in a reading vlog, like a sort of reading challenge, maybe like reading books out of my comfort zone or reading books that I think I'll hate. Oh my god, should I do that? Should I film a reading books that I think I will hate reading vlog? So maybe I'll include like 3 books from this list and then we'll see. Because I could be wrong. Like, what if I actually love it? You just honestly don't know. But I really do trust my gut feeling with books. But I have been wrong in the past, so honestly, you never know. Anyway, back to this. I've seen snippets online and I've seen quotes from this book, like direct quotes. And I was like, you know, I just don't think it's my cup of tea. But I'm so happy for you if you love it. I love when anyone loves a book. It is the best feeling when you love a book. So if it's for you, happy for you, babes. I'm so happy for you. Just not for me. Next on the list is a book that I potentially could actually be convinced into reading, and it might not be a very hard sell. It's just, and I don't even have big book fear. Like, I read big books all the time. They don't scare me. I'm not anxious to go into them even if it's a really long book. Sometimes, but normally like it doesn't intimidate me. This one kind of does. It is The Priory of the Orange Tree. I really don't know much about it, but I've seen it in the bookshop and I've held it, and it's a chunky book. She is chunky. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just think it's too dense. And I think there's a sequel to it that's just as big. And it's just too dense for me. Like, I'm very intimidated to start that book. And I just don't see myself ever doing it. Ever. I think even if I owned it and it was like sitting in my TBR, I just know it'll be a book that will be sitting in that TBR month after month, never getting picked. That book will essentially be like PE in school. Like, you know, when you have to like get picked for a team and then like you're last to get picked? That book would be like that for me. Like, I'll be picking every other book except for that book. I'm like, So I just don't see myself reading it. I really don't. I really, really don't. Next up is The Sweetest Oblivion by Danielle Laurie. This one. When I first started reading, I think, when I first started getting back into reading, I've always been a reader, but when I really got back into it, like 3 years ago, I read Ekata, and then I read, I think, From Blood and Ash, and then I read something else, and then I was recommended The Sweetest Oblivion, and so I got it on my Kindle. I think I read like the first 40 pages, and from memory, this is like a mafia dark romance. It was really, really popular at the time, and I think it's still popular. And I learned very early on, that a mafia romance was just, I don't know what it is. I find it really cringe. Like, it actually gave me such a big ick. I don't know why. Like, the mafia men and like the touch her, you die, like that kind of thing gives me really bad ick. Like, I get really icked out from it, and it just like, I don't like it. I really don't. I don't know why. It really cringes me out. And because of that, I can't take the book seriously. And I can't take the characters seriously. I'm like, you don't scare me. When I'm reading it, I'm like, shut up, like you actually don't scare me at all. Yeah. So that's a series that I definitely will not read. Ooh, okay, next up, I think I will definitely get some hate for this. And this is probably the book that I will most likely read. Out of this list, I'll probably do it because I love Sarah J Maas. I loved A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I love Throne of Glass. And so because of that, I purchased, let me get it. Because of those series and how much I loved them, I decided to go ahead and buy House of Earth and Blood, which is the first book in the Crescent City series. Now, this is before I knew that this is an urban fantasy. One thing about me, I don't really enjoy urban fantasy. I don't like my fantasy to be set in a modern world. I want my fantasies, like my dream fantasy premise. There's castles, there's dukes, kings, queens, no technology. Technology does not exist in a fantasy at all. We're wearing gowns. Like we're dressed beautifully. Unless, you know, you're like in the streets or whatever. Usually my dream fantasies involve balls and just, do you know what I mean? It's almost like, give me the setting of Bridgerton, but add some dragons, add some fae, add some mythical creatures, and that is my dream fantasy. I don't want technology in a fantasy book. I just don't. It's not for me. Like not in a fantasy romance. And I think from my understanding, there's excessive swearing in this book. Like I've read snippets of it and it is to the point where it's like, I can just see on this page here, three times the F-bomb is dropped, one page, and that's just one that I randomly looked at. I just don't think Sarah J Maas needs to do that. She's a really good author and she's an amazing storyteller. And to me, when the F word or like excessive swearing is used, in my opinion, it just means bad writing. Like those two things go hand in hand. I feel like if you feel the need to excessively swear in the book, I don't know, I just feel like you could have used a better word instead of being like effing, do you know what I mean? And I'm not against swearing. I love to swear. I don't a lot on this channel, but I am quite a big swearer. I don't mean to be, I'm trying to work on that, but I do drop the F-bomb a lot when I speak. So look, I am being a big hypocrite with that, but it's so chunky as well. Oh, and another reason that I don't see myself really reading this series is because I've left it for so long. The third book is out now. The third book had such bad reviews. Is it House of Flame and Shadows? It had very bad reviews, and even people that loved the first and second book really did not like it. It was a flop. And I don't want to go into a series knowing that it's gonna get worse. Do you know what I mean? So I just think because of that, I just don't see myself reading it. Wow, I really went off on a tangent there. Let's continue. The other book that I don't see myself reading is a sequel to a book that I've already read, and that is Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. Now, I did read Fourth Wing, and Fourth Wing actually started off very promising for me. When I was in, when I was reading Fourth Wing, the first like 100 pages or so, I was like, this is good. I'm really loving it. I still did find the writing a little bit cringy. Like Violet is the main girl. Violet's inner monologue was extremely icky to me. I think if you removed her inner monologue, I would have really loved the book a lot more than I did. But her inner monologue was so cringe, and also excessive swearing, and also kind of poorly written and very predictable. Like I really guessed exactly what was gonna happen. It was just, Anyway. So when I finished Fourth Wing and then Iron Flame came out, not even 1% of me desired going to the bookshop and buying it. Like not a single part of me wishes to continue on with that series. I know it's gonna be like a 5-book series, and I feel like it's gonna be very rushed. Like I think Iron Flame was released not that long after the first book, and it's a chunky book. So to me, there's no way you can write an incredible sequel in that short amount of time. It would have obviously been rushed, you know, due to popular demand. And I feel like all the books are going to be very rushed because of how popular it is. And it probably just means it's not going to be written very well. So no, thank you. Okay, moving on. The other book that I will definitely not read Definitely, and I don't think any amount of convincing could get me to read it. It is Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. I've seen things online about this book, and if you Google it, you'll see exactly what I saw. Let me know what Omegaverse is. I know it's like alpha, beta. There's like this hierarchy of alpha, beta, but people say it's something very inappropriate, so I just don't see how that is inappropriate. I don't know. Please let me know. I feel like a little innocent baby not knowing what that is, but I really don't. I mean, I could Google it, but eh. Moving on to the last book on my list. There's probably more, but those were the ones that, like, off the top of my head, I was like, I'm not gonna read these ever. Maybe, but I don't think so. Moving on, we have The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. If you've watched my channel, you already know I don't like the cheesy contemporary romance. I just know I don't like them. And I've heard that the main character is very annoying. I just heard that it's like, oh my god, he's so tall, he's so handsome, he's so tall, I really hate shallow books like that. Like, I get it, he's tall and he's handsome. That is wonderful. Wonderful. But you don't need to say it to me a million times. Like, I get it. He towers over you. Girl, I get it, and good for you. But I just don't want to read that all the time. Like, tell me, like, how can you be in love with someone if all you care about is their height? I kind of feel like I've been hating for, like, how long have I been talking for? For a while. I've been straight hating for a long time. If this is the first video of mine that you've watched and you're like, oh my god, that girl is such a hater, I promise I'm not. I'm really not. If you watch my other videos, I'm a positive girly. But every now and then, it's very fun to have a little hating session. So I feel very revived after that. I feel like a new woman. But anyways, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments which books that you just know you're never, ever, ever, ever gonna read. And if there are books that I've loved, I will try to convince you in the comments. Or if you have read any of the books that I've mentioned and you really like them, please let me know. Because once again, I am open to try. You know, I'm willing to see if I do like the book. I really do hope you enjoyed this little bitching session with me, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!